waited 20 years for me, Belle.
The movie begins by showing two scavengers under a bridge picking some things on the ground. One of them steps on a wooden floor and it breaks in. Curious, he reaches inside with his hand and grabs a weird spearhead. He feels something enter him, and he gets up immediately and moves away as the other scavenger tries to call him back. He gets hit by a car and the car is completely destroyed, but he doesn't get hurt. A mark appears on his hands and he gets up and runs away. Personally for me, this is a really scary opener. The next scene shows a woman in her house. She moves towards the door and gets frightened by the sight of a woman crawling on the roof. A man called John Constantine comes out of a taxi and goes into a building. He meets a man, Father Hennessy, who tells him that he called him because he couldn't handle the situation. John moves down the hallway filled with people towards a room where a girl possessed by a demon is tied up. The girl tries to say something, but John puts a pendant on her head and she screams and shakes painfully and then stops abruptly. He checks to see if she's still alive, and she immediately tries to bite him. He punches her and asks for a mirror. He breaks the window and tells Chaz, his taxi driver and also his apprentice, to move the car. They arrive at the mirror and John moves the bed on which the woman is tied onto the window. He asks them to hold the window up and close their eyes. He mumbles some words and one of the guys holding the mirror opens his eyes to peep. "Dude, what are you looking at?" He gets possessed and the girl struggles with John. The demon appears in the mirror and tries to break out of it. Who's spooky? John manages to throw the mirror out of the window, killing the demon in the process. The woman appears to be free from the demon's possession. John sees the painting of the weird spearhead on the wall and takes it. He then asks Father Hennessy to help him by taking off his pendant and reporting anything unusual to him, and he leaves. A girl, Angela, had a dream about her twin sister, Isabel, and her death. In the dream, Isabel falls from the top of the hospital building. This is a scary dream, considering the fact that Angela looks exactly like Isabel. John goes to the hospital the next day to get checked because he's coughing up blood. Turns out he has a deadly disease. Angela also goes to the hospital to see that her sister actually died. She tells people around her that her sister didn't take her own life, but they try to convince her that she did. I mean, you wouldn't believe that a mental patient took their own life. As Angela tries to catch the elevator, she tells John, who is inside the elevator, to hold the door, but he doesn't. The guy with the weird knife appears to have superhuman strength, and as he moves close to some animals, they die instantly. At John's apartment, his friend Beeman comes to his place with some antiques. John tells him about the demon he pulled out of the girl. That night, John goes to the church to meet a woman who happens to be a half-breed angel called Gabriel. Angela also arrives at the church the same time as him to see a father. She tries to convince the father that Isabel didn't take her own life, and she should therefore be given a proper burial, but the father says otherwise. As John and Gabriel converse, Gabriel asks him if he is still trying to buy his way to heaven. John tells her that he has sent a lot of demons back to hell, and that alone should guarantee his going to heaven. Gabriel tells him that he knows the only way to make heaven: self-sacrifice and believe. John gets angry and Gabriel tells him that he's going to die young because he smokes 30 cigarettes a day and he will go to hell because of the way of life he lived. Back at Angela's place, she plays the security camera recording of her sister's death. She hears Isabel mention Constantine, but when she replays the video again, she doesn't hear anything. She writes the name down. John starts coughing on the road and gets attacked by demon flies in the shape of a man. He manages to escape it as a vehicle hits the demon. John goes to Midnight's place and Chas tries to get in with John, but the bouncer stops him. When John meets with Midnight, he tells him about the demon attacking him on the street and him pulling a demon out of a girl. He then tells Midnight that he needs to use the chair. Midnight tells him that firstly, the chair could kill him, and secondly, that he is neutral and cannot take sides as long as the balance is maintained. Back at John's place, Angela knocks on the door and tells John that she has a few questions. She tells John about her sister's death and adds that she thinks Isabel was brainwashed into jumping off the building. John did not seem interested in helping her, and he urged her to leave. When she leaves, John sees some creature's shadows follow her outside. He rushes to meet her, and when they get to the car, the door locks and everywhere it gets dark as all the street lights go off. Angela draws out her gun, but John tells her that it's of no use. I mean, if only it were that easy to kill demons. Just then, John throws sulfur in the air and turns on his lighter. The fire burns the demons that John calls scavengers of the damned. John tells Angela that the demons were after her. He offers to help her check if Isabel is in hell. Is this even possible? When he gets everything needed for the process in her apartment, he travels to hell and finds Isabel. He brings back her hospital band as proof to show Angela. Meanwhile, Father Hennessy goes to the morgue and sees Isabel's body. He's been acting weird since John told him to take off his amulet. He sees the mark on her hands and he gets thirsty. The man tries to look for something to drink, but the liquid doesn't pour into his mouth. I still can't get an explanation for that. Before he dies, he uses the same mark as that on Isabel's hand on his palm. John explains to Angela that when he was young, he used to see things and his parents sent him to the hospital. As any normal parent would. He told her that he was dead for 2 minutes, and he went to hell, and when he came back, he understood what he used to see. He tells her that angels and demons live among humans as half-breeds, and that when anyone breaks the rules, he deports them back to hell. He says that he is trying to guarantee himself a good retirement, which made Angela realize that he's trying to buy his way into heaven. Angela receives a call, and they head to the store where the man died. The police officer explains to Angela that the man died from drowning himself with alcohol. Wow, so it appears the drinks were pouring into his mouth, but he couldn't feel it. John sees the mark on his palm and calls his friend, Beeman, to tell him about it. John and Angela go to the place Isabel died, and John tells Angela that he believes Isabel left something behind. They find a writing on the window which says 1 Corinthians 17. Angela is shocked to find out that there is the Bible of hell. Beeman reads the chapter to them through a phone call and explains that Satan's son will try to cross over, but he'll need a powerful sidekick and will also need help from God. Beeman gets restless and cuts the call as a fly comes out of his eyes. John and Angela hurried to his place, but they were too late. Angela tells John that she also used to see things, but she pretended she didn't. She says that it got to a point that she couldn't see again. She tells John that she wants to see what Isabel also saw. He prepares water in a bathtub and asks her to submerge herself in it. When she comes out of the water, she tells John that someone was there. John figured out that it was Balthazar, a demon he met at Midnight's place earlier. He starts to equip himself with weapons and goes to Balthazar's place. In the car, he puts an amulet in the form of a necklace round Angela's neck and tells her to think of it as a bulletproof vest. John goes ahead to attack Balthazar. He asks Balthazar how Mammon, the son of the devil, is crossing over. Balthazar refuses at first, but later tells him that whoever kills the Son of God will give birth to the son of the devil. Balthazar adds that he has completed his work, as his mission was to make John bring Angela into the building, but John shoots him. So it turns out that the help Satan's son needs from God is the blood of the Son of God, and this blood is stained on the spear the scavenger was holding. And it is also revealed that both Isabel and Angela are the powerful sidekicks, as they are twins. John, who already figured this out, asks her for the amulet, and she tells him she left it in the car. Seriously? He called it bulletproof, and you left it in the car. Angela then tells John that she feels weird. A force then draws her across the building, and John runs after her, but he lost her. He goes to Midnight's place, holds Midnight at gunpoint, and tells him that he needs to use the chair. John, this is a bad idea. Midnight tries to kill John, but John manages to convince Midnight to help him. He sits on the chair and Midnight electrocutes him. Apparently, the chair helps you to see things that are happening as if you were actually there. When John enters the trance, he sees the scavenger from the point of him picking up the spear to where he presently is, which is in the hospital along with a lot of other demons. Chas helps John make bullets for his gun, and they both go on a mission to save the world. Angela wakes up in the pool at the hospital, and the scavenger appears behind her. She tries to shoot him, but it is ineffective. I mean, normal guns don't work on this type of people. The scavenger drowns her, and she wakes up in hell, and she sees a scary demon. John goes into the room filled with demons and kills them all with Chas' assistance. John and Chas enter the pool room and see the scavenger dead. Angela comes out of the water behind John and tries to kill him. It seemed Angela was possessed by a demon, and it tried to come out of her belly. With Chas' help, John manages to bring Angela back to her normal self. But the demon enters Chas and throws him at the roof and on the ground repeatedly and kills him. Gabriel comes into the room and incapacitates John and throws him across the room. She had the spear with her and attempted to stab Angela in her stomach. I think Gabriel was probably trying to cut Angela's guts in order to let out the demon who happens to be the devil's son. But just as everything is going on, John kills himself and time freezes. The devil, who I thought would be an ugly demon, appears and looks just like a normal human being. He tells John that he has come to take him back to hell. John convinces him to stop Gabriel from releasing Mayman, and he does. Gabriel tries to take on the devil, but it appears she lost her touch. She gets punished as the devil burns her wings, and she apparently ceases to be an angel. John still manages to convince the devil to send Isabel to heaven, and he does. Isn't that easy to convince him? The devil then tries to take John back to hell with him, but as he drags him, John starts to ascend to heaven. But the devil does not want John to go to heaven, so he removes his cancer and brings him back to life. John and Angela wake up and they see Gabriel. Her wings have been cut, and she tries to make John kill her by annoying him. John instead punches her in her face and leaves. The last scene shows Angela thanking John for helping her, and John entrusts her with the spearhead. The post-credit scene shows Chas as an angel. Constantine is a dark yet dazzling film. A terrific story backed up by spectacular special effects and great cinematography pull us into a dark and dangerous world. Cursed with ability to see these spirits, John Constantine finds himself right in the middle of this showdown. Keanu Reeves gives a fantastic turn as John Constantine. Critics have been saying that Keanu Reeves' acting was horrible, but I disagree. From the start to the finish, the action-packed and suspense is unstopped. The movie is spectacular and exciting, and the supernatural plot is narrated in stimulating and moving manner. The film has plenty of tension, thriller, terror, grisly murders, and is developed in fast-moving, and for that reason results to be entertaining. I'd recommend everyone to watch this movie. Thanks for watching another Essential Recap. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.